Hello everyone, welcome along. We're looking ahead to Future Stars Friday at the 2022 Breeders' Cup, and alongside me we have Mark Milligan of Timeform. Mark, former international analyst and American expert, hopefully picking out a few winners here on the Friday programme. Let's dive straight into it, and we'll kick off with what is the first race on the Breeders' Cup card. It's the Juvenile Turf Sprint, a fairly new addition to the Breeders' Cup programme, isn't it? What sort of attributes do you need to win this race? Yeah, primarily speed.
Speed and the ability to be able to corner really well, because that turn comes up quite quickly. It's a relatively new addition to the actual Breeders' Cup card itself. It was run a few years beforehand on the undercard without being a Breeders' Cup race, but yeah, it's for the speedy 2-year-olds, and interestingly the ones that, as I say, that can corner quickly, and that's an interesting dynamic for the Europeans, most of whom will have only raced over straight tracks.
That's very true. Now, we went to see Richard Fahey just last week, and he was making very positive noises about the Platinum Queen. She's mixed in really strong company already. Obviously chased home Highfield Princess in the Nunthorpe Stakes at York. She's since finished a good second at Doncaster and then won the Abbey. She is a speedy filly. Has she got the right tools to deal with this sort of race though?
Yeah, she's really, really speedy, and she's absolutely flourished in the second half of the season. My concern with her, and it's a concern I have with all Europeans when they go to these sprint races, is that there's a different dynamic between speed and gate speed. American gate speed, these horses are taught, they're taught to break like lightning from the stalls. They go on the bell. The bell can often come as a little bit of a shock to these European horses that have not heard it before. Now, if the Platinum Queen gets out of the stalls on terms, I've no doubt she's probably the fastest early of these. And I'm going to put a caveat on that. I think she's the fastest early of these, of the ones we've seen on turf. There's a potential spoiler in here who's shipping in from Prairie Meadows in the form of Tyler's Tribe. He's only ever run on dirt. I don't think he's good enough to win this, but he's sensationally fast. He goes like stink. He is really, really quick. My worry is that Tyler's Tribe and the Platinum Queen could just do each other's brains on the front end.
Because there is another one that you've got in mind for this race. I know you're talking about Love Reigns as well, potentially for a turn up in this race. Because the Platinum Queen, she's likely to be among the market leaders, isn't she?
Yeah, she will be. And at the time we're recording this, I think Wesley Ward's Love Reigns is about 7 or 8 to 1, which I think is a superb price. Now, she went over to Royal Ascot, didn't she? She finished 4th to Dramatised, who we're likely to see in this contest as well. She's only run once since then at Saratoga, where she won a listed race really easily, and she showed a different dynamic there, where she just sat off the pace. She sat a couple of lengths off the pace, blasted home in the straight, which we're not often used to seeing with Wesley Ward speedsters, and I think that could serve her really well in this race. She's 7-8 to 1 at the moment. She'll be nothing like that on the day. For me, she probably goes off very close to favourite. I like her in here a lot.
That's Love Reigns, definitely one to keep an eye on ahead of the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Now, Europe has another likely favourite in the Juvenile Turf. That man, Charlie Appleby, is set to saddle Silver Knott, who I know a few Shrewdies have already backed for the Derby next year. Now, we've seen him bring Derby horses, likes of Massar, to this race in the past. It doesn't always pan out, does it? As you say, it's a very different dynamic from what they've been facing in Europe. But when you think about some of the horses that Appleby could have aimed at this race, he's running the Autumn Stakes winner, and it looks significant. His form behind, he beat Epictetus, it's arguably good enough already, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really strong form. He's mixed it with some of the best juveniles we've seen in Europe this season. I think it's interesting, we only have to go back 2 starts ago to his Champagne Stakes run at Doncaster. Well, I don't think he was himself that day, and he was beaten 5 1/4 lengths behind Dewhurst winner Chaldine. Now, what we should note is that he went off odds on here against Chaldean. Didn't run his race. He came back to form in the Autumn Stakes last time at Newmarket. He beat Epictetus by a neck, who ran really well, didn't he, in the Vertem Futurity. And for me, we're going to see this Autumn Stakes performance on the screen.
Puts his experience to use here, doesn't he? Again, the runner-up had only had a couple of runs going into this.
Yeah, exactly. And this was Silver Knott's 5th race, so he had experience. I like the way he sticks his head down and battles. And like you say, Charlie Appleby's had a number of options for this. He's really well stacked in the 2-year-old department. Significant that he's going with Silver Knott.
Yeah, I don't think he minds taking one that has suffered a defeat as well. It's an interesting move for him. He's probably got a couple with a load of ones next to the name that he doesn't want to take and go and ruin, but this one's a bit more battle-hardened. Now, you do think that one might be flying under the radar a bit here, though, and a European runner in the Juvenile Turf.
Yeah, he's a European runner, but he's got an interesting mix of a European and American pedigree, and that's Cairo from Aidan O'Brien's yard. He's by Quality Road, who himself was a sensational dirt horse and is a really, really good dirt sire. But he's out of Cuff, who herself was by Galileo, so it's a really interesting pedigree on Cairo. Now, I was devastated 2 starts ago when he got beat at Dundalk, because I thought he was as close to a certainty as you could get that day. And my initial thinking was, being by Quality Road, he would win that Dundalk race on the polytrack, and then they'd maybe take a shot at the Juvenile itself. But he disappointed there. They went back to turf in the Killavullen at Leopardstown, a Group 3, and he won that really, really convincingly. So it's looking like he's taking after the dam side of his pedigree rather than the sire side, and he's going to be a better turf horse. And again, he's another one at around about 7 to 1. I think he's underestimated in the market. And we saw a horse just a couple of years ago in Hit It a Bomb from Aidan O'Brien's yard, who was bred along similar lines to Cairo, came here and won this race. So I thought at this stage he was a little bit better value than Silver Knott.
I remember Hit It a Bomb defying a very wide draw and winning as well. That was a fantastic performance. But you mentioned the Juvenile there. We've got a potentially short one here in Cave Rock representing Bob Baffert. This horse looks to have taken a real tried and tested route towards the big dirt race, the Juvenile.
Yeah, he's unbeaten in 3 starts. He's won them all convincingly. He's won them from the front. He's by Arrogate, who we know was a brilliant, brilliant dirt horse for Bob Baffert. He cost $550,000. He wasn't cheap. He's got lots and lots of speed. Tyler's Tribe, who we spoke about briefly in the Juvenile Turf, is also entered here in the Juvenile itself, though I think this is his second preference. Tyler's Tribe has got first preference for the Turf Sprint. He's a potential spanner in the works for Cave Rock if he does turn up here, because he's a speedy horse. If he doesn't turn up and it's looking like he's going to go to the Turf Sprint, Cave Rock probably has this to himself on the front end, and he's probably one of the most likely winners on the weekend.
Well, likely winners, I'm very predictable, and I'm going to be banking on Silver Knott. Anything odds against, I think, is probably a fair price. Any horse, any race, Mark, on the Future Stars Friday card, if I could push you for the Milligan banker.
Yeah, I really like Love Reigns in the Turf Sprint. I think she's back on home soil now. That'll be a big advantage over the likes of the Platinum Queen and Dramatised, and I think she'll come out on top there.
Thank you so much to Mark. I hope everyone's feeling as enlightened as I am after that. That's our Future Stars Friday look. Don't forget to check out our preview of the Saturday card as well, and obviously keep track of our Sporting Life time form as well over the coming days. Ben Linfoot is our man on the ground in Kentucky. What could possibly go wrong there? Thanks for watching. Best of luck with your Breeders' Cup bets.